Yeya Nilo Premadana Karuna Yeya Nilo Premadana Karuna Hena Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Hena Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Kahamura Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatana Kahamura Swarup Rupa Kaha Sanatana Kaha Dasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kaha Dasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan Kahamora Bhatta Juga Kaha Kavira Kahamora Bhatta Juga Kaha Kavira Eka Kale Kota Gela Gauranga Eka Kale Kota Gela Gauranga Pasane Kutibo Mato Anale Pasiba Pasane Kutibo Mato Anale pasiba Gauranga gunera nidhi kota gele pabo Gauranga gunera nidhi kota gele pabo Se sabha sangira sange je koilo bila Se sabha sangira sange joy koilo bila Se sangha napaya kande narotamada Se sangha napaya kande narotamada He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Shrinivasa Acharya gone? Today's his disappearance day, so we're going to be hearing about him. Where are my Swarup Damodar? Actually, Srinivasa and Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu, they did a whole journey bringing the books from Vrindavan to Bengal. We'll hear about that. Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Jagannatha Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. So now we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7. And which text is it, Balaram? 8. Nine. Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, 9. Yataha kva bhagavan havir adhyapi tatrat yanam nija jananam vatsal yena sanidha yata icharupena. The showroom. At Pulaha Ashram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, out of his transcendental affection for his devotee, becomes visible to his devotee, satisfying his devotee's desires. Purport. The Lord always exists in different transcendental forms, as stated in the Brahma Samhita 539. Ramadi murtu sukalani amena tistang nanavataram akarod bhuvaneshu kintu Krishna swayam samavat paramapamonyo govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The Lord is situated as himself, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is accompanied by his expansions like Ram, Baladeva, Sankarsana, Narayana, Maha-Visnu, and so forth. The devotees worship all these forms according to their liking. And the Lord, out of his affection, presents himself as Archa Vigraha. He sometimes presents himself personally before the devotee out of reciprocation or affection. A devotee is always fully surrendered to the loving service of the Lord, and the Lord is visible to the devotee according to the devotee's desires. He may be present in the form of Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Lord Nrsimhadeva, and so on. Such is the exchange of love between the Lord and his devotee. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshumilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukham Kurtavatalam Pongundang Hayate Garim Netkripatadaham Bande Shigarum Dinataranam Vanchikapatibhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. In this verse, the word Hari is mentioned. Hari means he who takes everything away. Yasyaham nugrami hrishi taddanam shanai. Prabhupada, he had a big business, actually. He was very successful. He had this pharmaceutical business. But he was also paying a lot of attention to his preaching activities. So gradually he lost interest in his business, and his interest in preaching became more and more. So Krishna eventually just took everything away. Business was just taken away. So this is and he would chant this verse. You know, as things were being taken away more and more, he would chant this verse, Yasahamanugurami Hirasitaddanam Janai. To show special mercy to my devotee, I take everything away. So, Prabhupada gives the example, just like a very wealthy man may have a son, but the son is not very responsible, so he doesn't give him much, because he's not responsible. But then as he sees his son maturing, he becomes more and more responsible. He's seen he's becoming more responsible, so he gives him more. Of course, Prabhupada was always pure. He was not irresponsible in any way, but Krishna just took everything away so that he could just fully devote himself to preaching Krishna consciousness. And his father used to say that Krishna, he has 10 hands, and he wants to take away from you. What can you hold with your 2 hands? And then he has 10 hands to give, and he's giving so much, and what you're trying to hold, you don't have enough. Like Prabhupada was given so much, He was given so much, so much money and men and temples and just unbelievable. So he was giving like that. So the more we also become responsible, then Krishna, he will give us more and more. Many devotees in our society, they got a lot, money, facility, but they forgot where it came from and who it was for. So, as the saying goes, again become a mouse, punarmushtika bhava. One is, before we join, we're just malechas, and then Krishna gave so much, and we're getting so much respect, getting so much facility, and we forgot. So then Krishna took everything away. For so many devotees, unfortunately. So in this verse also, it's stated that Krishna, he becomes visible to his devotee as they surrender to Krishna. Just like an amazing example is there of this devotee during the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He was probably the most famous Mayavadi in India at the time. Big Mayavadi. And he was staying in Jagannatha Puri. So Lord Chaitanya, he went to Jagannatha Puri with his devotees. That's a whole another pastime. So he went to the Jagannath temple, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and upon seeing Lord Jagannath, he fainted, unconscious. And the guards there were going to take him away. They didn't know where to take him. They just take him away out of the temple. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he happened to be there also. And Lord Chaitanya, he was very big. How big was he? 7 feet. 7 feet. It's big. Now generally Indians are not very big. He was big. So it was quite a scene. See, and he was golden, golden colored. So quite a sight. They didn't know what to do. They're just going to take him outside. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he could see this is quite unusual. And they actually thought that he had passed away there in the temple, the guards. But Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he got a little cotton swab, and he put it next to his nose, and he could see it was moving. No, he could understand this is the highest level of love of God. So he told the guards, "Bring him to my home." So he's laying there on the bed in his home. And then the associates of Lord Chaitanya came to Jagannatha Puri. They went to the Jagannath temple and they asked about Lord Chaitanya. They explained that he had fainted. Now he's at the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So they went there and they saw his condition, complete ecstasy. So they started chanting very loudly. Very loudly they were chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Very loudly. There was quite a few devotees. So then Lord Chaitanya finally came back to consciousness. And devotees explained what had happened. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, so he stayed there actually for some time. And he understood that Lord Chaitanya is a young man, 24 years old, taking sannyasa, so he said, you have to be careful. Even back then, these things would happen. The sannyasis would have difficulty. You're young, handsome, be very careful. And he said, I want to teach you Vedanta. So for 7 days, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya taught him Vedanta. Lord Chaitanya didn't say a word. So he said, "Are you understanding? You're not saying anything. Are you understanding?" Oh, he said, "I understand Vedanta fully, completely. But what you're presenting is not right." So, "Oh, you know what is right?" "Yes, I can tell." So he spoke Vedanta, and he was shocked. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was shocked. He said, "No human being can speak to such a high level of Vedanta." So he was extremely impressed. And then he explained to him the Atmarama verse, I think in 18 different ways, the Atmarama verse. And again, he was just astounded. How can anybody, no human being can speak in such a high level of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Vedanta Sutra? So one day, Lord Chaitanya went to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya after he had left. He was staying somewhere else. And he gave him some Mahaprasadam. Now, generally, when you receive Mahaprasadam, he had just woken up. You got to wash your hands and actually highest bathe and everything. But immediately he took the Mahaprasadam because there's no rules and regulation with taking Mahaprasadam. So Lord Chaitanya was very pleased with him, and he revealed to him his Sadbhuj form. Sadbhuj form is the form of Lord Chaitanya, of Lord Rama, and of Krishna. So here it's mentioned in this verse that he becomes visible to his devotees. So the Lord revealed this special form of Krishna. So the Lord became visible to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya because he actually became a great devotee. He became such a great devotee. Now remember, he was a big Mayavadi, but there's a verse, some of you may know, Tattena kampang susamik samano bunjana evatmarkitam vipakam hridvagpo virvidham namaste jiveta yomukti pade sadoyabak. Now in this verse it says mukti pade. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he became so disgusted with impersonal liberation, Mayavad, impersonal liberation, he changed it to Bhakti Pade. And when Lord Chaitanya said, "You can't change the Srimad Bhagavatam," "Oh, you can't do that." But he said, but it's Mukti Pade. We don't want Mukti. And Lord Chaitanya said, no. A devotee who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, this is also Mukti. Mukti Pade, taking shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. But still, Lord Chaitanya was really happy to see that he had gone such, completely round, about 180 degree turn. He became such a great devotee, wonderful devotee. He would go on Harinam with the devotees and dance. He was an elderly person, but he would go on Harinam with the devotees and dance. And other Mayavadis in India, they got word that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the great Mayavadacharya, had become a sentimentalist, chanting Hare Krishna and dancing. They were very surprised. So, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, when he heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to go to South India, he said, there's a very great devotee in South India. His name is Ramananda Roy. And he said to Lord Chaitanya, I used to tease him because he's into this sentimental bhakti. But now I understand he's such a great Vaishnava. You will want to meet him when you go to South India. So on his tour, he met Ramananda Roy. And upon seeing Ramananda Roy, he was in ecstasy. and they embraced. They embraced, and they were both in ecstasy. But there was also brahmanas there. And Lord Chaitanya, he had to withhold his ecstasy because they couldn't understand. Smarta brahmanas couldn't understand. So they both understood we have to spend some time together, speak about Krishna Katha. So they did that. Actually, that evening they spoke. And Lord Chaitanya understood how great Ramananda Roy is. So he questioned him. And I have some of the questions here that he asked him. So Lord Chaitanya inquired from Ramananda Roy, what is the greatest profitable thing? He said, nothing is more profitable than association with devotees. There's no greater wealth than to have the association of devotees. What should a person always think of? Ramananda Roy replied, should always think of the pastimes of Krishna. So we're so fortunate that Krishna came and he performed his amazing pastimes. Like no one knows of the activities of God. I grew up a Christian. No one knows in Christianity. There's no activities of God. In Islam, there's no activities of God. But Krishna comes and performs his activities. Wonderful, amazing activities. Just like this Damodar Leela. Amazing, wonderful. Just touches the heart, Here is God. People are trying to attain God, trying to attain love for God. And here, Mother Yasoda, she's capturing God, tying him up. How beautiful. Amazing. So many wonderful activities of Krishna. We just had the Govardhan Puja, Krishna lifting Govardhan hill to protect his devotees. Wonderful. Wonderful pastimes that we can absorb our mind in and get purified. Every moment that these pastimes of Krishna are in our mind is getting purified. Our heart is getting purified. So, yes, we have to hear again and again and again the pastimes of Krishna. Then he asked him, so where should a person live? Vrindavan. Vrindavan. Just like when Rajendra Nandana got this illness, I was thinking, go to Vrindavan. But then I heard that he was actually paralyzed from the waist down. Did you know that? He was paralyzed from the waist down. He didn't leave his bed after that, so it was very difficult. But if possible, when one gets word that one is leaving their body, go to Vrindavan. Prabhupada is a perfect example. Lived a perfect life of Krishna consciousness, and he left perfectly. He left this world, but in Vrindavan, with devotees chanting all around him. Some of you may have seen the video. Wonderful. Lived his life perfectly and left perfectly as an example for us. Then he asked him, who is the most worshipful deity? Ramananda Roy replied, Radha and Krishna. Now it's interesting here in the purport that the devotees worship all these forms according to their liking. And the Lord, out of his affection, presents himself as Archavigraha. Just like there was a devotee, Murari Gupta, who he was a follower of Lord Rama. Lord Rama was his Ishtadev, was his worshipful deity. So Lord Chaitanya tried to convince him that, Lord Rama, he's an incarnation of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Lord. You should worship Krishna. Why not worship Krishna? And, Lord Chaitanya is pretty convincing. He's God. Can't argue with God. So he tried, but he couldn't. He couldn't. His heart was sold out to Lord Ramachandra. So the next day he told Lord Chaitanya, please, I tried, but my life is Lord Ram. And Lord Chaitanya said, that's okay. That's okay. You're an incarnation of Hanuman. Yeah. So Lord Chaitanya accepted. Yeah, that's the Lord to his liking. So that's fine. Yeah. Some devotees they worship Lord Bar, Lord Nrsimhadeva. Yeah. So that's okay. One could worship any incarnation of Krishna that one likes, and that's accepted. Then he asked him, what is the most painful thing? Ramananda Roy replied, to not have the association of devotees is the most painful thing. Yeah. Then he asked him, what is the highest standard of education? To know the science of Krishna is the highest education. So Prabhupada has given us so many nice books, yeah, by which we can understand the science of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, so many books. So we should diligently read these books, really try to understand. Yeah, and if we could understand something, actually Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, just to understand one verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, very difficult. He said he would speak on one verse for 2 months. So it's not easy to understand the science of Krishna consciousness. But if we sincerely endeavor, then Krishna, he will help us understand more and more of the science of Krishna consciousness. Then he asked him, who has the greatest reputation? A Krishna conscious devotee has the greatest reputation. Just like there's devotees that lived millions of years ago that are still famous. Who, for example? Prahlad Maharaj and his great-grandson, Bali Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj. So many great devotees lived millions of years ago, and to this day they're so famous. And within our society, even, Jayananda, he passed away, 45 years ago or something? He's still famous, and he'll be famous for thousands of years. Yeah. Our modern Western saint, right? Jayananda. So this is the way to have the best reputation, is by engaging in devotional service. In this way they talked all night long, actually, discussing Krishna. And then Ramananda Roy asked him, you know, originally I saw you as a sannyasi, then I saw you as a cowherd boy, then I saw you as this golden avatar. How was this? And then he said, Ramananda Roy, he said, I can understand that you're Krishna, trying to understand the love of Krishna, so therefore you've taken on the role of Radharani, therefore you have this golden hue. Ramananda Roy is very intelligent. So when he said that, Lord Chaitanya was a little surprised. And he revealed to him, no one had ever seen this, the Radha, the form of Radha and Krishna. You know, Lord Chaitanya is Radha, Krishna, Nahayanya. He's the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So Ramananda Roy was such a great devotee that Lord Chaitanya was standing before him and he manifests Radha and Krishna. Amazing, huh? And there's 3.5 devotees that were very dear to Lord Chaitanya. Who knows them? Ramananda Roy was one of them. Swarup Damodar, Sikhamahiti, and Madhavi, Sikhamahiti's sister. So he was one of the very, very dear, dear devotees. And Lord Chaitanya told him that you have to come to Jagannatha Puri. Please, you have to come and you have to live there. You have to come and live there with me. I said, oh yes, okay. So he did, and he stayed there with Lord Chaitanya for many years. Very fortunate. And he was such a great devotee that, see, he used to arrange dramas. He would manage dramas. And there was one period where he was training these girls to in the drama, some pastime of Krishna, and he would touch their private parts, and it would not be agitated in the least. And it's described that it was like he was touching wood. I mean, anybody get agitated touching wood? Nobody. So he just saw the body as it's just material, it's just matter, like wood. Not a tinge of lust in his heart. Yeah. Incredible. Completely transcendental. Ramananda Roy. So I thought maybe we could say something about Shrinivasa Acharya. Shrinivasa Acharya, he wrote the Sad Goswami Ashtakam. You know, this most famous one, Krishna Kirtana Ghana Nartana Paro Premamritam Nidhir Dira Janapriya Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito Sri Chaitanya Kripabaro Bivu Bivo Barhavahantarako Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghu Yugo Sri Jiva Gopalako. So this, these 8 ashtakams glorifying the 6 Goswamis, Prabhupada used to quote these all the time. Srinivasa Acharya, he was the person who composed these verses. And this one I just quoted, this explains how the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were very, very enthusiastically chanting the holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Very loudly in Vrindavan. And they were very popular, both with the miscreants and the devotees. Dira Janapriya Priyakaro Nirmatsaro Pujito. Why? Because there was no envy. There was no envy. To be free of envy is not an easy thing. But the 6 Goswamis are so pure. Even it's described in Vrindavan that a husband and wife, if they would have some argument, they would go to Sanatana Goswami. And this is, we're having some difficulty here. Can you hear this? And whatever you say, we accept. So that was a regular thing, that if there was any disagreement among anyone, he was the judge. Sanatana Goswami, because they had so much faith. He had so much love for Krishna. So they had so much faith. Everybody had so much faith in Sanatana Goswami and all the Goswamis. So Srinivasa Acharya, he understood the greatness of these 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. And although Jiva Goswami wasn't his spiritual master, Srinivasa Acharya's spiritual master, he sent Srinivasa Acharya to Vrindavan to learn more about Krishna consciousness. Because Jiva Goswami, after Rupa Goswami left, Prabhupada said that Jiva Goswami, he was the most intelligent person on the planet. Very intelligent. He wrote this. He wrote so many books. Yeah. So intelligent. So many disciples were sent to him to learn. Another person that was sent to him was Narottam Das Thakur, who was such another great acharya. and the other one was Shyamananda. Actually, more were sent, but these were his three closest, dearest students in Vrindavan. So the wife, Gangamata, the wife of Lord Nityananda, said that the 6 Goswamis, they gave us so many writings, but they're there in Vrindavan, they should be copied. So she got this message to Jiva Goswami. So he said, yes, this is true. So he got a plan that these 3 students of his, they're going to take these manuscripts of the 6 Goswamis to Bengal. So there was 10 guards. There was 2 that would pull the bullock. Imagine taking a bullock cart from Vrindavan to Bengal. I mean, I don't know how many miles that is. About 1,000 miles, I think. Huh? More than 1,000. Maybe 1,200 miles or something like that. Long ways in a bullock cart. But there was some concern. You know, these are the great treasures of the Goswamis. So they had 10 guards to guard. So they were almost there. They were about maybe 50 miles from Bengal, and they were very happy that they're almost there. But there was one king, Birambir, in Vishnupur, and he was famous as someone who would steal from the pilgrims, people coming by. And believe it or not, he had 200 dacoits that would rob travelers. And he had an astrologer that would know what's coming. So the astrologers, they understood, there's a great treasure coming right through your kingdom. A great, priceless treasure is coming through. I said, this is very nice, very good. So he got his dacoits there. So while the devotees were all sleeping, somehow they didn't have there was no night guard. So while they were sleeping, they came and they took the treasures to the kingdom, Birambir. So when they woke up, they're like, no, the books, they're gone, the books are gone. Everybody was just lamenting like anything. The books, the treasures, the priceless treasures of the 6 Goswamis, books are gone. And they thought, now what are we going to do? So Shrinivasa Acharya, he was in charge, he was the leader. So he told Shyamananda and Narottam to go and preach. Go to Jagannatha Puri and go to Bengal and you preach. I'll take care of this. I'll try to figure something out. So he was going around, he went to this kingdom of Virambir, and he contacted this one Brahmana. And this Brahmana could see that this person, Srinivasa Acharya, he's not an ordinary person. So he took shelter of him and became his disciple. So he informed him, in the palace, every morning there's a Srimad Bhagavatam class. If you like, we can go and we can hear. He said, yeah, let's go. So the person that was speaking the Bhagavatam wasn't a strict Vaishnava. And while he was speaking from the Bhagavatam, he wasn't referring to Sridhar Swami's commentary. And he is like the authority on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srinivasa Acharya, he wasn't very impressed. So they left the palace and he explained to this, now his disciple, that he's not really presenting properly. But he thought, anyway, well, at least we'll hear the text. They were going, and they went there for a couple of weeks, and finally he said, actually, you're not presenting. He spoke to the reciter of the Bhagavatam, you're not presenting this properly. You're not referring to Sridhar Swami. So therefore you're not presenting this properly. And the person became very angry. Oh, you know better than me. Oh, you come and you speak. So the king thought, well, maybe this person is, not presenting properly. Yeah, let's hear this. Let's have this new person come and speak. So he spoke. Shrinivasa Acharya spoke on the Bhagavatam. And he's such a great Acharya. He spoke for hours. And nobody got bored or fell asleep. Or they were just so happy to hear the actual Bhagavatam being spoken. So the king was so impressed. And the person who was reciting earlier, he also was pleased. So he understood. This person, he knows a lot more than me. So the king said, please stay here and don't leave. Please stay here. I want you to stay as long as you can. He touched his heart. Somehow the king, in India, even the dacoits, the robbers, they have some feeling towards Krishna. So it really came out with hearing from Srinivasa Acharya. So then he said, is there any service I can do for you? He said, well, there's this chest. We had this chest, and it has the 6 Goswamis' manuscripts in it, and I'm trying to find that. And then he thought, uh-oh. Oh, no. Please forgive me. But we are the ones that took those manuscripts. We have them. They're safe. Then you can take them. So he was very happy to hear this. He got the manuscripts back, and he stayed there for some time, and the king became his disciple. And the whole village there, the whole kingdom, became his disciple. Such a powerful devotee, Srinivasa Acharya. So that's the story of Srinivasa Acharya. And another great devotee, disappearance today, is Gadadhar Das Goswami. Not Gadadhar Pandit, there's two. So Gadadhar Das Goswami, he was the incarnation of the potency of Srimati Radharani. Gadadhar Pandit, he was actually Radharani, incarnation of Radharani. It's interesting they have the same name. And Lord Chaitanya told Gadadhar Pandit that you should teach Srimad Bhagavatam to Gadadhar Das. So after Lord Chaitanya had departed, he actually never got the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, nor Srinivasa Acharya. Neither one of them got the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But he got word that he should hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit. So he went to Gadadhar Pandit in Jagannatha Puri to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from him. But Gadadhar Pandit said, I'm very sorry, but while I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam, the tears that came from my eyes messed up the manuscript. So you have to go to Bengal, and you have to get another manuscript of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I said, okay. So he went to Bengal. Now he had not been to Bengal before, as far as I remember, right? So anyway, he went there, and there's so many devotees still there, great Vaishnavas that had the association of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he wanted to get their association, but at the same time he was getting the manuscript. But when he went back to Jagannatha Puri, Gadadhar Pandit had passed away. He had left this world, and he was, I should have come right back. He was spending a lot of time there in Navadvip, getting the association of all the great Vaishnavas there. So he was completely distraught, disturbed, upset. So then he thought, well, let me go to Vrindavan. Maybe I could hear from Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. They were still there. But on his way to Vrindavan also, he was stopping and getting the association of so many devotees on the way to Vrindavan, famous devotees. So then when he got to Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami had passed away. So now he's, again, so distraught because of their departure. And he was going to commit suicide from Govardhan Hill, jumping off Govardhan Hill. And but then the six Goswamis, I think, maybe not all the six Goswamis, at least Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami said, no, you go to Vrindavan. And there you will hear, I think it was Gopal Bhatta Goswami. You hear from him. Take initiation from him. So he did that. And he heard Srimad Bhagavatam from him. So, it's a little late. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
May I?
Well, we have an inner question here. Can you wait?
Yes, I can wait. No problem.
Yes, we have a question here. Yes.
Was Ramananda Rai, was he a contemporary of Swami Ramanand, or
Swami who?
Ramanand Swami? I'm reading. They were both appeared between the 14th Swami Ramanand.
Yeah, I don't know about Ramananda.
Well, he is also a great devotee of Krishna.
Oh, okay.
And born somewhere between the 14th and early 15th century. So that
Could
is
be.
my
I don't
point.
know.
So I'm reading, but I just wanted some clarification.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, Vijay Krishna.
Yes, Vijay Prabhu, thank you very much. You're very kind. Prabhu, related to the purport for the verse you chose for today, we see that the Lord is visible to the devotee according to the devotee's desires. So, Prabhu, my question is, if I may, in relation to the cultivation of the desire for having the Lord visible to me, I could go for two options. I can go for desiring to see the Lord as He is, the bluish boy playing the flute, etc., etc. Or I can go as a servant of Lord Chaitanya's movement. I can go for desiring to see the Lord. In what form? In the form of a warehouse made of unlimited dimensions.
A what? Say that again.
Warehouse.
Warehouse?
Books.
Oh.
Yes, a warehouse related to
distributing books. Okay. I got you.
A warehouse filled with books for book distribution. Because you know better than me that books are worshipped as deities.
Yeah.
Also. So if I go for desiring to have the Lord visible to me in the form of a warehouse with unlimited measures, filled with a unlimited number of books for massive book distribution, my question is, which one of these desires is the best related to serving Lord Chaitanya's movement and making spiritual advancement?
So the desire to see Krishna or the desire to see Lord Chaitanya? Is that what you're saying?
No, the desire of seeing Krishna as he is, or the desire of seeing a Krishna in the form of a warehouse filled with a massive number of books for book distribution. Which one of these desires is the best?
Very interesting question.
I am asking this question because you are a very famous book distributor, also for that reason.
Well, I'll tell you something that occurred. A devotee said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I just want to come back birth after birth and distribute your books. And Prabhupada said, don't think you're so advanced. Get purified, distribute books, and go back home, back to Godhead. But it's interesting, he said another time a person said that to him, Prabhupada, I just want to come back birth after birth and distribute books. And Prabhupada said, that's first class. So it depends on the person, I guess. But yeah, the books are not different than Krishna. So the desire to distribute books is the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore he told the 6 Goswamis to write books. So reading the books, distributing books, this helps us to be Krishna conscious. As far as desiring to see Krishna or to see a warehouse full of unlimited books, I think better be safe and desire to go back to Krishna. Because this material world is a very dangerous place, as we've seen. So many big devotees have fallen down. So it's a dangerous place. So better, serve Krishna to the best of our ability in this lifetime and hope for the best. Go back to Krishna. Distribute as many books as we can in this lifetime and go back to Krishna. How's that?
And Krishna will take, will become in charge for the rest of the history.
And what?
And Krishna will be in charge for what is going to happen after I go back home, back to Godhead.
Krishna's in charge. Whatever Krishna wants.
A wonderful answer to my question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki? Jai.